Hi everyone, welcome back again to the Balanced Life podcast. I'm Jolo, your host, and it is always a joy to have you here. All right, so today we are continuing our deep eye opening series on misinformation versus ignorance. So last week we laid the foundation. We discussed what misinformation is all about, what ignorance is all about. We defined it, we gave some examples and all of that. Today we are digging deep into areas where these things hide, and honestly, where they are still hiding in many of us. So today we are really having a self-check time. A self-check time. Let's get into it. And the first area I want to look at is area of faith. This time around, when you talk about faith, I'm not just talking about religion. Nah. It is deeper than that. I'm talking about your belief, your core beliefs. What you believe about God, what do you believe about life? You just think everything is bad. When you have this kind of mindset that you're always afraid, you're always scared, what exactly do you believe? Those are the things you need to actually look at. What do you believe about God? What do you believe about life? What do you believe about good and evil? What do you believe about grace and punishment? Things like this are things that will shape your mind, the way you think, the way you react to things, the way you actually even allow people to access into your life. And a lot of us were taught things growing up that were more cultural than scriptural, in all honesty. Because when you're talking about belief now, it is more of your value. It is more of things you can talk about with conviction. You are convinced about it. You stand for it. You are not trying to guess. You're not trying to say, I hope I'm correct. I hope I'm not wrong in the end. No, that's not it. And you will heard things like, if you're suffering, it means God is punishing you. Have you heard that before? Or when somebody is struggling, that means that person must have offended God. Really? If you have that kind of mindset, if you have been misinformed in this way, honestly, it's going to have a lot on how you behave. It's going to have a lot on how you relate with people. It's going to have a lot on even how you see life generally. Or you hear God is only happy when you are perfect. What does it even mean to be perfect in the first place? Those are the things you need to actually understand. So faith is a deep thing, and many of us didn't question those teachings. We just built our own spirituality on them. And some of us were simply ignorant. We're just ignorant. We never taught the truth. Others were actually misinformed. They were taught wrongly, but they were taught confidently. And do you know the danger when it comes to your faith? The danger is this: misinformed faith can lead to fear, it can lead to manipulation. That is it. It is dangerous. So you need to ask yourself a question like, where in your faith journey have you believed things that are now off? You can't really defend it. You get to a point in life where you don't blame people for what they have done to you. You get to a point in life where it is now your responsibility. It is now your sole responsibility to stand for the truth, to know the truth first and now stand for it. So, my dear, where in your faith journey have you believed things that now seems off? I want that question to sit with you, and I want you to get an answer to that. So, faith is a strong thing. Okay, let's move to another thing that, when it comes to misinformation and ignorance, they really have eaten deep. And this part, we'll be talking about perception and bias, perception about people, places, acts. And honestly, plenty of us were taught so many things. Things like you need to avoid certain group, you need to avoid certain people, you need to look down on certain people, on certain tribes. You cannot relate with some people, you cannot mingle with some sets of people. You just judge people based on clothes, background, or even the way they talk. You just judge them, or you call everything that you don't have an answer to, you just call them demonic. Everything you cannot really define, you just call it demonic. You see, it is not the right way to live. For instance, now, just imagine now, assume you see someone with dreads. What comes to your mind? You just assume they are irresponsible. Or you hear someone is from a certain tribe and you suddenly become cautious. Yeah, trying to just avoid the person. But have you ever tried to think, what if you've been misinformed about things like this? Seriously, what if your fears and judgments are based on someone else's bias and not the truth? And when it comes to ignorance in things like this, when it comes to perception and bias, ignorance here looks like never having access to people who are different. So you don't have access to them. So you have no chance to know better. You just built on what somebody else have told you. You just built on something you think you've heard, but it is actually a wrong information. So things like this are limiting. It is even painful, and in the long run, it will cause division. It will cause division because you will not be able to really see people for who they really are because you've not given them the chance. You've not given them the chance. Of course, there is a balance to it. Of course, there's a better way to do it. But no, you don't just assume. No, you don't just take information without you actually digging deep, without you actually being sure of that information that it is true. You want to actually look at the person telling you that information. You want to look at this person and be like, okay, I've always gotten right information from here. This source, it is actually true. So it is limiting, it is painful, and it causes division. So when you're trying to just build on what somebody else has said, be sure that that person is trustworthy. Be sure that that person has a sound mindset. So another area I want us to look at is relationships. Relationship is another area that ignorance and misinformation can hide. And you will not even notice it. You will not know. So when you're talking about relationship now, you're talking about love, marriage, friendship. What do you think about love? When you talk about love, do you see love as performance, just performance, or do you see some silly things such as what you think about men, what you think about women, or you think men don't cry, or you think women must just suffer. You cannot just marry and just be enjoying. You must suffer, or you don't believe there are genuine friends. You only feel like friends can only be for benefits, that friends are just for benefits. Nah, you can never see good friends in this life. It is not possible. They are all parasites. Because some of us watched our parents, you watch them, you watch their broken marriage, and you become misinformed what love should really look like. You feel like love is a fairy tale. You feel like love is not real. You feel like love does not really exist. In all honesty, love exists. True friendship exists. True relationship exists, and it is beautiful. Regardless of what is being put out there, regardless of what the social media is saying, regardless of so many things going on. Of course, we have unhealthy relationship and we have healthy relationships. In relationship, misinformation here leads to so many things. It leads to toxic patterns. Yes, you don't believe anything can be real. You don't believe anything can be healthy. You don't believe you can have a healthy relationship. You don't believe you can have healthy friends. You just feel like everybody are just here to eat you, chop and clean out. You have things like that. You just leave everybody here. They are just here to gain one thing or the other and move on with their life. So you continue to repeat that same pattern. So you just want to be with somebody just for the time being, and then you move on. You move on. If care is not taken, one way or the other, influence people. You can influence someone else. You can, whether you like it or not, there is someone always looking up to you. You see? Whether you're acting the right way or the wrong way, someone is always looking up to you. There's a young person they're looking up to you. And before you know it, he or she starts to, learn little things from you. It can also lead to you settling for less. You settle for less. You just settle for, well, as far as it can pay bill. Really, love is more than that. You settle for people that have bad characters and you just feel like it is okay. No, it is not okay. Honestly, people are enjoying their marriage, people are enjoying their friends, they are having the life of their time. Yes, it exists. Misinformation leads to control and manipulation. Either way, either you are the one controlling someone or you are being controlled, or someone is manipulating you or you're manipulating someone. That is it. It leads to unhealthy expectations. You don't believe in growing together. You don't believe in building together. You don't believe you can be a responsible person. You want someone to be responsible, but you don't want to be responsible. You want someone to have all, but you don't want to have anything. Unhealthy expectation. You need to put in the work, you need to put in the effort, you need to be in agreement, you need to be in alignment. But you just expect without putting in anything. It doesn't work that way. And that is what misinformation can lead to. When it comes to ignorance in relationship, it leads to avoidance. You just avoid everything. You are not even ready. You just avoid because you don't have the answer. And instead of you to get the answer, you don't want stress. You don't want to go through the work. You don't want to go through the process. You just avoid. It leads to fear of vulnerability. You are afraid of being vulnerable. Why? Because you don't know anything. You have not developed yourself. You don't even have a standard in the first place. So you are just scared that, hey, what if, what if? Instead of just guessing around, you know what you need to do when it comes to relationship? Work on yourself, develop yourself, read up on things. You can learn. We have healthy resources out there. As much as people are pushing out unhealthy resources, as much as people are pushing out unhealthy content, we have content that are healthy that you can learn from, that you can improve yourself on, that you can develop yourself on. You cannot be scared all the days of your life. No, start learning, start developing yourself. Ask yourself, who do you want to be? Do you want to be that person that even when somebody is in a relationship with you, they are grateful, they feel so lucky, or they want to feel like, oh my goodness, this is a waste of time? Don't be that kind of person that someone will feel like you're a waste of time. And ignorance also leads to you shutting people out. You shut out the good people, you shut out even the bad people. There's this Yoruba proverb that says, you are trying to cook, you are using firewood, and you are trying to cook, you remove this stick, you say, oh, this stick is too wet, oh, this one is too dry, oh, this one looks this way, oh, this one is smelly. You are removing. By the time you remove everything, what are you going to use to prepare the food? What is going to bring fire for you? Nothing. When you have learned so well, when you have the right information, when you are equipped with the necessary information you have developed yourself, you know how to give access into your space. You know who to allow to be your friend. You know who to be in relationship with. You can easily see, even from afar, you know what is right, you know what is wrong. You don't have to shut everybody out. If you shut everybody out, you want to live lonely life, it's not the best. So don't do that. Okay, so let me leave you with this challenge. I want you to pick one of these areas that we've talked about. We've talked about faith, we've talked about perception and biases like people, places, we've talked about arts, then you've talked about relationship. Just ask yourself simple questions and also answer. You don't ask yourself without answering. You want to ask yourself, what do I believe in all these areas, or which of these areas? Now, what do I believe that might be misinformation or ignorance? What do you believe about faith? What do you believe about people, art, places? What do you believe about relationship, friendship, marriage, love? What do you believe about those things that can be misinformation or ignorance? Then you want to ask yourself, who taught you? Who taught you that? A friend? Social media? It's possible, right? Where did you learn it from? You want to ask yourself that. And is it true? Is it true? So if it is true, good for you that you have the right information. Yes, it is very good. Is it true? No. If it is not true, then you know you have work to do. You want to unlearn, even though it is not easy to unlearn, but it is possible. This take me back to previous episode on misinformation versus ignorance. Just go and watch it so that you understand what it means to unlearn, to relearn, and what you can do better. So, my dear, it is doable. So before we bring this episode to an end, don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section and share this episode with someone. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Let someone else reflect. Let someone else reflect. And like this episode. Like this episode, like every other episode, like everything we are doing here. We are growing together, we are learning together, and we are becoming whole together. That is the reason why we are here. Okay, see you all in the next episode. Bye.